Ooh, that looks good. Mm-hmm. Okay, this is actually going to happen. It was two things had to happen. First of all, it was time to put up the Van Ord Customs garage, okay? First of all, this garage, I think I've had this thing set up for, I've had it rolled up in a box for I think maybe over a year. And I always wanted to make use of it. It's amazing, it looks incredible. And so now I actually have it sitting, I put it on wood. Okay, so I put it on 3/8 plywood on the back and on the front. And then I put them on a hinge, so basically I can just close it up and put it away and or bring it to an event, or you can do whatever you want with it. So now that I finally have that, I'm really impressed with that. It's amazing, it looks incredible. The project today, as I think you just saw at the beginning of the video, is we are installing SSD 2.2 beadlock rims in bronze color onto this fantastic set of RC four-wheel drive paddled sand tires. These are Intimidator sand tires. I don't know, I think these are pretty freaking cool. And then we are going to get these installed on the truck. We're going to do some suspension modifications to the Chevy. And we're going to basically turn it into a full send, absolutely ridiculous, overpowered, way too much voltage, Castle 4-pole kind of a, yeah. We're going to turn it into an actual sandrail truck of sorts. And I don't know, this whole project may be an epic fail, but I will have video for the entire thing, okay? So at least in this section, I'm going to show you how I'm putting the tires together. One of them's on, it works great. I love how we do this, and so I'm going to spend a few minutes trying to actually show you what changes we're making to the Intimidator foams, how to get them onto these Delrin beadlock rings in the 2.2 SSD rims, and we will have info in detail. So here we go. I love these things. That's all I can say. I just love these things. These are amazing. They're so nicely machined. I mean, as a machine guy myself, I really appreciate good quality machining. These are really nicely made. They have a Delrin ring on the outside. And then the inside clamping ring is also a piece of Delrin, which I found surprising. I actually don't know why, but I wasn't expecting it to be a piece of Delrin, but it is. That's cool. Now, you'll notice right away that these tires are enormously wide. Like, these are incredibly wide. So any 2.2 rim is going to have a trouble, you know, fitting that. This is a huge wide rim too. And it's considerably wider than the actual bead that we have to work with. So it looks great when it's put together, but there's some stuff you got to change on the way through. First of all, the foam is way, way bigger than this actual rim. Okay, so let's just start with that. We're not even bothering with the tire at this point. If I put the foam in there, you know, as if that was to be bead locked, maybe you can see in there, but I'm talking like there's 15, 12, 14, 15 millimeters of space somewhere around there in between the two pieces that have to lock together. Like, that's not going to happen. The way we did it on the truck was we actually glued these in. I'm going to show you how to do this. This is really cool. So simple, put the foam in. So I'm going to put so much horsepower into this thing. I'm expecting the tires to balloon into pizza cutters, okay? Like, this is not my usual thing. But the truth of the matter is, I built the truck kind of strong. I built it to bash it around a bit, and you guys have all seen that on the channel already 100 times, but it was a crawling speed sort of truck. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm even going to glue the foam onto the beadlock ring, the internal locking ring, because I don't even want the foam to like expand when the tires are flinging out. I want the foam to not, you know, bunch up inside the tire. So simple trick. Grab the sharpest knife you can find. Mine happens to be on my hip all the time. So basically put the locking ring, down as far as you can to the one edge of the foam. So that basically all you've got is just flat on one side. And then what we're going to do is simply cut the rest of it right off. So this won't be hard to do. Basically just flat knife the foam right off along the edge of that bead lock ring. And, you know, get her done. Cut them off. There's something like probably 10 millimeters of foam going right out the door here. Now, this is actually a necessity in this procedure because I could not get this tire to mount with the full foam in it. I tried. On the one that actually is on the truck already, I totally tried to do this properly. It cannot be done. I could not get enough. The foam was enough to not let it come together. Anyways, it's very, 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 very tight. The other thing you'll notice is that the ring is basically the size of the tire. I mean, at this point, there's not going to be much use for foam in here because, you know, by the time you add the thickness of the actual rubber on the tire, this thing is going to have almost no compression whatsoever. I'm going to glue some shoe goo on here, one strip down the middle, very simple, not a big deal. Thin too, like not much. I don't want to unbalance the tire. I'm going to send this thing at 1,000,000 miles an hour, so that's the intent. I really don't want to have a lot of weight problems or weight distribution problems or unbalance or anything like that, so just a tiny little bit. And then we're going to stick that right on the foam, just kind of, you know, squeezle it over there, just like that. Line it up nice, pull it all out so it's got nice square edges on it, and then wait until it's hardened up. That's it. And then we're going to install the rest of the tires and all that stuff. It's really easy stuff. So there we go. We got this one done. And I'm going to take a few minutes and basically cut the rest of these up and get them glued, and we'll see how far we get after that. These are dry now. I think I left them for an hour or something. You can see here it's kind of, it won't come off of there anymore, so that's good enough. Basically, all the point is that this foam, not only can it not like expand off there when the RPM gets high, but it also won't slide around on the center. The center is the thing that's mechanically locked into the wheel. The foam rides around all the time, which is why I glue my foams onto the lock ring all the time, because this can no longer slide around. Even in a rock crawler situation, when you're on one of those, you know, tight turns and you're pushing on the edge of the tire, if the foam can't roll over and slide on the tire, then it just doesn't, and you get way better steering. So, you know, how to give away tips to your video watchers. I guess there's the first one. Basically, the tires, thankfully, they're nice and rubbery, and you can literally just stick that thing right in there. And once that's started, you should be able to basically roll it right over without really damaging anything. It's kind of a bizarre combination of things to do with your fingers to get that in there, but there's a way to do it. There, that's at least a good start. And then stretch the tire out. Instead of trying to slide the tire over the foam, which is liable to rip it, stretch the tire out and let the tire sit on its own on the foam. That's my recommendation. So it seems odd because we cut these foams down so much in width that it seems odd that they're actually now, you know, more narrow than the tire. But I think you realize the importance of that already, so I don't need to go on and on about that. Now, the nice thing is this has a really nice lug here I can actually just grab and lift. And so I'm actually going to go around the tire here. In this case, it's easy. And considering there's like no sidewall here, this will actually produce a better result than my usual method, which is looking in the sides and actually shoving the foam around through the sides. But this will work better because it's more centered. Now, something that I realized about these SSD rims is that there's a notch here that this center locking ring actually fits into. This is keyed right in. Of course, now I glued them all. There you go. You can see one. I glued them in, but anyway, that little knob there actually fits in here, and there are 4 of them all the way around. And you can see they're not in the center line, right? So you have to make sure that you put this in the tire the direction that you want the face of the wheel to be at. That was important. And in this case, it's great that I've actually done it this way because I can use this for the second rear tire. This has to be done in order to make sure the tread's going the correct direction, and the wheel face is you know, where you want it to be on whichever side of the wheel, the tire, I'm sorry. So that might give you a tiny picture of how that goes together. There's I don't know if you can see that or not, but there's an actual key there that fits in. So now I like to go over, and once I have this pressed into the actual locking ring, I like to go over and just barely lift the bead corner enough so that I know it's right in the circle where it should be. See this indent right here. So I'm going to make sure that that's sitting in there the way it should be. And then make sure that these keys are lined up. This is rare. Not many wheels I've seen have an actual key in the ring. And in a high-speed application, I can see that being pretty awesome, actually, because the foam glued to the ring, and then the ring keyed to the rim keyed to the hex right on the axle. Now we have a situation where nothing in the wheel can actually spin freely, and I think that's going to make a lot more reliable wheel setup. This is where it gets difficult here, trying to press this in with the keys lined up. I've got so much room in here left over. Like I think there's, wow. I'm going to guess that there's 12 millimeters of gap in there because the tire is just so huge. But I think I can get this started. Keep it nice and centered the best possible way, as much as I can. And then really try to get that locked down. Boy, oh boy, there's a huge gap in there still. You see that? Man. So I'm going to check these over and just make sure that they're not bound up in the lip. They look good. Yep, so far so good. So, boy, I'll tell you what, this project is just crushing this tire. It is so wide. I don't know of any 2.2 rim that's that wide. That seems like a really bizarre size to make a tire. It sure looks good on the truck, but boy, this is not easy. So, we'll get these done here. I'm going to whip up these other two here, and now that these are actually threading, I might go and get the power driver and whip that together. So let's see what I can do. Well, that's going to look pretty amazing. Really happy with the fitment on that. You can see that it's just a tiny bit out of the wheel well. It looks like pretty friggin' legit, let me tell you. And gigantic paddles on there. The size is really good for the truck. Very happy about the actual, diameter size. That looks really good. And I think this is going to be a grand success right here. So we'll get the other two put on and then we'll work with that. Thanks again for watching. This is a great part 1, getting the tires put on. We've got a whole bunch of suspension updates we're going to do, as well as pulling apart the motor and transmission out of a Yeti Score race truck. That's the powertrain that we're going to put in here, and then that is a Mamba Max Pro, so that'll give us the option to put up to 6 cells power in it if we actually need that kind of wheels flinging. I'm really sure that the tires are not going to come off of these beadlocks, so that's exciting. I should be able to, balloon those out as much as humanly possible, and they'll probably stay on unless we tear them in half. But the rubber's pretty thick, so I have hopes for that. All bets are off on whether the drive shafts and gears and stuff are going to survive. Nobody knows. It's crawling equipment, so I guess we'll find out. But like I said, we'll have the cameras running. Thanks again for watching the video, and really excited to get this going. Looking forward to part 2. See you soon.